Mario Kart is one of the biggest racing game franchises in the world, and since it's literally my job to reimagine fictional worlds in Minecraft, I've been thinking about building Mario Kart maps for ages. The only problem is that there's no point. Why build a bunch of massive racetracks when there's no way to race on them? I mean, sure, you could use ice boats or pigs or something, but that's just boring. Every few months I would revisit the idea, but it just wouldn't work without a proper racing system. So I reluctantly shelved the entire project, knowing that I would probably never go through with it.
Hello there.
How did you get into my house?
My name is Gray, and I've been a Datapacker for a long time now. On my channel, I worked on quite a few projects over the last few years, but recently I've been challenging myself to recreate mechanics seen in Nintendo games, and
unless you're here to make a Mario Kart in Minecraft Datapack, can you get out of my house?
that's actually exactly what I'm here to do.
Well, hot dog, why didn't you say so? The game plan is for Cray to create most of the datapack, such as items, lap functionality, and more. Our friend Hauziki also helped out by providing the code of the Master Cycle 0 from his Breath of the Wild datapack. Cray would repurpose this code to work for the new karts. Meanwhile, I picked out 4 tracks from various Mario Kart games to build for the datapack. This video only covers the construction of each track, so check out Cray's video next if you're interested in the datapack. And as a bonus, I gathered 3 other content creators together to play through each track after I built it. Before I could start on a real track, I needed to test out the kart mechanics first. Because if the karts were faster or slower than anticipated, my tracks might end up being way too big or small. So I built up a simple little testing course that I could use to play around with the karts on. And no, I did not mean to recreate SNES Rainbow Road. That was just an accident. Now that I had an understanding of the kart's physics, I felt like I could start on an actual track now. I wanted to start with something simple before we get into some of the crazier tracks. So I chose one of my personal favorite tracks from the game, Yoshi Circuit. I had to spend a lot of time ensuring that this track would not be too big or small, but since I had tested out the kart mechanics, I was able to do it quite efficiently. The Yoshi shape came out looking pretty good, which I'm sure that at least one person watching this video did not know that the island is shaped like Yoshi, so everybody point and laugh! I added in the ocean surrounding the island, but this ended up being way too wavy and too low down, so I would have to redo it later. Surrounding the finish line at the bottom of the island is a little Yoshi town, so I took the time to outline those buildings as well. But before I actually build them, I wanted to finish terraforming the island. I gave Yoshi his freaky little hand with those long fingers that kinda look weird, and I also gave him his gigantic nose as well. And once I smoothed out all of the terrain, the island structure was complete for the most part. But I still had to go through and pretty up all of the railings with fences and lanterns. I added the finishing touches to the island in the form of trees and long grass, meaning that most of the track was already complete. The area under the nose did have a proper tunnel built in, however, so I took the time to build that up, and the interior of it ended up looking really nice. The subtle green in this area really works for Yoshi. With that out of the way, the only remaining build was the town around the finish line. I started by outlining the general shape of each building with yellow wool so that I would have a clean and simple base to work off of. Compared to Mario Kart, I realized that mud bricks would be a perfect block for the roofs, so I went through and added all of those in next. All of the buildings have a white base, so I gave each building a gradient going from smooth stone to smooth quartz. After adding some smaller details to each of the buildings, I built up some of the lampposts to line the street with, as well as the arch that acts as the finish line for the course. The track was now mostly finished, so I swept across the whole island to add in any final details that I missed. But after this, the track still felt a little empty and lifeless, so at the request of my friend Celios, I decided to build the Yoshi helicopters that fly around the track on the GameCube. These were pretty fun to build and not as difficult as I imagined, and I ended up adding about 3 of them around the course. And finally, as mentioned earlier, the water level was far too low, so I ended up removing the water and raising the sea level, adding less waves to the water this time. And just like that, our first track was complete. I'm sure that you're wondering what it's like to actually race on one of these tracks. So I gathered Smallant, Mogswamp, and Jopes together to play through the tracks with.
I spun around? What? Dude, Lakitu interrupted my shortcut.
Oh my god, how?
Jopes, get away from me. I see those green shells.
I am literally nowhere near you.
Close.
I just saw you. Is that Smallant? Your skins are the same color. Oh, it's small ant. You stay away from me.
Star power is a hindrance. Oh, the star is. I can't move.
Last lap. Uh-oh. Don't hit my bananas, small ant. No, you get away from me. You're not stealing first from me. No, stay away. Oh, that was close.
No,
That
doing.
was
Jones, what are you doing?
No.
Oh, that was
None of
so
those
close. I picked this one first because I thought it was the easiest one, but I guess it's not. After the first race, I was in the lead with 15 points, followed closely by Small Ant and Cray. But before we could do our second race, I needed to figure out what my next track was going to be. I had already made one of my personal favorite tracks, so for the second one, I wanted to build a fan favorite, iconic track from the games. And what track fits that description better than Coconut Mall? The outline for this course is super straightforward, and I mean that literally. Most of the track is just a straight line. But after doing some test drives around the track, I had to keep extending the length of it to ensure that the racetrack wasn't too small. With the course outlined, I added in the structure for the mall itself, which I would end up changing later to be more symmetrical. The terrain around the mall was looking pretty boring though, so I added in the structures for a bunch of skyscrapers surrounding the track. Then I began to design these buildings themselves, for which I wanted to make a few different designs so that the city wasn't all just the same building. This first one was for the smallest building size, and I tackled the largest one next, which I forgot to record for. But I did record for the middle-sized building, which is probably my favorite of the bunch. I also made an extra fourth design just to vary up the city a little bit more, completing the skyline. To procrastinate on starting the mall itself, I decided to tackle the rest of the exterior first. I added some decorative palm trees around the track and outlined the first parking lots to fill out the area in front of the mall. But the parking lots looked pretty boring and dead in their current state, so I built a few cars to fill in the parking spots. Some of these designs would be used for the end of the race course as well, where you can run into them on the track. I also colored in the finish line arch and added some nice Mario Kart text to it. Now it was time to build the mall itself. The mall is basically a giant rectangle with 3 large cylinders near the front, so I tackled these cylinders to begin. I decided to base my design off the mall from 8 Deluxe instead of the Wii, since I think 8 Deluxe has a much nicer looking exterior. It took a little bit of time to figure out the proper colors, but replicating the design wasn't too bad. I also decided to add some massive coconuts on top of these cylinders because I thought it was funny, and very fitting too. The rest of the mall's exterior pretty much just continued the same design from the cylinders, so it took no time to finish it all. After coloring the roof, the entire exterior for the track was complete, and I was very happy with how it turned out. Unlike the exterior, I decided to model the inside off of the Wii's version of Coconut Mall, mostly because matching the orange colors from 8 Deluxe would be very tough with Minecraft's limited orange blocks that actually look good. The entrance escalator took almost no time, especially since my friend Sly had already outlined most of it earlier, so I moved right onto the main floor of the mall. I built a variety of different shops in this area that I would reuse all across the building. Due to restrictions with the layout of the track, however, I couldn't make them too big or they would intersect with later parts of the track. With the shops done, I added in some lighting and detailed the rest of the main floor before copy-pasting the design to the other floors to fill out the area. Next up was the big room with the fountain. I started by once again adding in all of the shops on the top balcony area, and I figured that now was a good time to add the shortcut through this shop in the mall. But I accidentally had my recording paused when I designed it, so just trust me guys, I did actually build it. Next up, I changed this massive ball above the fountain into a large coconut because I thought it was funny, and very fitting too, before adding in some palm trees and lights to the room to finish it off. As for the next room, it was pretty much just a 180-degree turn, so it didn't take me that long to build. So I soon began work on the outdoor plaza area that came next. I gave the walls some proper coloring and added in the fountain and palm trees before designing this top balcony area. I had some ideas to turn this part into a Grazzy exclusive addition to the track as a new shortcut, but the idea didn't really work out. Up behind the balcony was the food court area for which my friends Ombrains, Whale, Mighty, and Max hopped on to design. In the end, they did a good job on the food court, and it ended up looking pretty good. But they did take a temporary detour to summon Herobrine on the map, which Really had me shaking in my boots for a bit. And after I finished up the exit of the mall with the 2 separate paths, Coconut Mall was complete. With this track done, we were ready to perform our second race with the content creators. Here we are, race number 2.
Why did I spin out?
I put a banana in front of you.
Oh, man,
blue
you
shell
tricked
coming.
me. I didn't even see it.
While I was passing, I just plopped one down.
Dude,
Who's Blue Shell?
Someone threw a blue shell?
I threw a blue shell. Sorry.
Swollen's got a star. This isn't fair. You guys always get stars. I haven't seen one all race.
This is my first ever star.
We're too good. We're too far ahead, so we never get them. Whoa! Jokes, that green shell almost hit. Oh my gosh. Just put small ant. No!
How do you have so many bananas?
Get banana.
Why are you so good at dropping the bananas? Please give me a star. Give me a star and I'll take first.
Oh, it's a blue shell.
No! No!
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. First place.
That
No!
is crazy.
Wow.
Oh my
That is
goodness.
insane. The Blue Shell at the last second.
Oh, that was a good race.
They didn't call me Tanner Banana in high school for nothing.
That's what they called you in high school?
That doesn't seem like a good thing.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh.
With the second race complete, Swallant took the lead from me with 27 points, but I was still right behind him. Meanwhile, Hauziki climbed his way up into 3rd place. I still wanted to build 2 more tracks to complete an entire 4-course cup. So, what was next on the list? For this track, I wanted something that would just be a really cool Minecraft build. And that's why I decided to build Switch Bowser's Castle. This would quickly turn into the hardest track that I had to build. The first issue immediately presented itself as I began to outline the course. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has some anti-grav sections where the gravity switches, allowing you to drive on walls and other similar surfaces. This track has a lot of sections like that where you turn vertically and drive straight down. But anti-grav sections like this are straight up impossible with Datapacks, since we have no way to rotate the camera among a few other reasons. So I had to revamp the track to remove these anti-grav sections while still keeping the same general style and spirit of the track. Seeing how much of the track overlaps, I was already worried about the interior of the castle, since I knew it would be hard to squeeze in each room without them getting in each other's way. And after messing with the structure of the track for quite some time, I began on the castle. I started with a few massive blocks for the castle before going through to smooth out the corners and add the large cylindrical towers around the place. Once I was happy with the structure of the castle, I began to properly color it in and design it. The tops of the towers had a repetitive spiky design, and once all of those were complete, I added in some designs to the tops of the walls. Afterwards, I gave the main structure of the castle some proper shading, and I messed around with the colors of the spikes, ultimately deciding on a crimson wood palette after lots of testing. Just like with Coconut Mall, I decided to finish up the exterior of the castle before going inside. The terrain outside Bowser's Castle is very hilly with a brown color, so after adding in some slopes and making sure the terrain and curve of the track was right, I shaded it in with a dark brown palette. There were also some copy-pasted tower designs to place around the different hills. Once the terrain was finished, I built up the finish line and the drawbridge across the lava moat, which finished up the exterior of the castle. Moving inside, a lot of the designs here are very basic, which led me to take a lot of creative liberties and expand on the designs some more. I used a lot of the new tough blocks for the interior, as the hint of green in this palette is very fitting for Bowser. I spent my time on the entrance hall to figure out what kind of blocks I wanted to use for the interior, settling on a mixture of tough and darker deep slates with a strong green for the ceiling. The next hallway was pretty much just a continuation of the designs in the entrance, so it was mostly just copy pasting in this room. But due to restrictions with the layout of the course, I couldn't really do anything with the roof since we were just a couple blocks away from the track on the floor above. Next up was a larger chamber lined with balconies on either wall. Once the size of the room was decided, I started by designing the track with copper grates to mimic the style from Mario Kart. With the road complete, I began to design the outer walls, starting with an outline for the various balconies. I divided up the flat walls with pillars and doorways and extended the designs all around the different walls. The lower part of the chamber was still quite barren though, so I filled out the space with pillars and other designs before giving the bland stone bricks some proper darker shading to finish off the room. After the large chamber, the track proceeds out to a balcony, so I had to extend the earlier terrain farther out here to make the place feel more complete. The balcony itself had a pretty simple design, reusing the same railings from earlier in the track. The next room in the castle is where more trouble would arise. In 8 Deluxe, this part of the track splits and goes onto the wall, while a massive Bowser statue punches the track repeatedly. I obviously cannot do like any of that, but I would still try to build a Bowser statue of some kind. After figuring out a simple floor design, Sam and I got started on the walls and ceiling. This room had a sort of tiered balcony design similar to the previous chamber, and we reused an old pillar design that extended upwards onto the roof. This flat wall was looking pretty boring above the entrances to the room, so I decided to try and make a Bowser insignia to fill it up. It took quite a bit of trial and error to get the Bowser face to look right, but after a while it came out looking pretty accurate in my opinion. But the Bowser statue was certainly going to be much harder. I made sure to grab some snacks and drinks before this build because I knew that a statue like this was going to take me all night. At least, I thought it would. Sam and I started with a couple of spheres to mark out the shape of the body, and we were quickly surprised with how smoothly it was going. After one single attempt at the shell and the tail, it just kinda worked out. The head was definitely trickier to figure out though, and took some more trial and error. The shape of it felt off for quite a while, but Sam and I got it into a better spot eventually. And after giving it some proper rocky colors and adding in the lava flowing from its hand, the statue was done. It somehow just worked out on attempt 1 after like an hour of building. Later, I would make a version of this statue with proper Bowser colors, which I do prefer the look of, but for the sake of the map, I stuck with the rockier colors. I added some other hazards to the room since it was feeling a little barren still, leaving only one more room in the castle. In 8 Deluxe, this part of the track turns straight down into a cave beneath the castle, but I obviously cannot do this in Minecraft for the sake of the datapack. So instead, I made the track turn and exit through the side of the castle. I did try a cavernous design for this room, but it felt off, and I ended up scrapping it. I had the idea to make some massive dry piranha plants sticking out of pipes in the walls, so Sam hopped on to help me build those. In the end, these things look really goofy, and I'm just not sure if I want to even keep them. But after they were done, we finished up the rest of the room with a pretty standard design, and with it, the track was finished. Now we can continue our competition against the other content creators. But there was a slight problem. When we were playing with the content creators, there was a bug in the datapack where you could potentially get merged with other players on Bowser's Castle. This has been fixed for the public release, but for this race, a few of us ended up getting chained together in the same cart.
Oh, okay, Grazzy.
Okay, Smollett, you're gonna take us to victory.
I got us.
There you go, nice.
Please tell me I'm driving. Okay,
Oh, I'm driving. Okay.
Wait, no, you're driving. No.
I have items, I got Cray with the green shell.
Yeah?
Whoa.
That's tough, Haziki.
Okay.
There's a hole there.
You got your item?
Yeah.
There's just a why?
I have a green shell. If anyone gets close, I'm gonna throw it at them.
Oh. What I spit out to? There's nothing near. Okay.
We have a crazy lead.
Okay.
You're doing really good. I don't see anyone behind us. You slowpokes gotta catch up. Where you guys at?
I fell through the level like 10 times.
Blue shell, uh-oh. Okay, that's fine. They're still really far behind.
That just got to you? How far ahead are you? I saw that like 5 minutes ago.
We're in the room with the 3 lava pillars.
Oh no.
Why?
Clean.
Let's
First
go.
place, baby. A freaking gaming.
This is player versus environment at this point.
With the third race complete, everyone's position stayed exactly the same. If I wanted to win first place overall, I had to beat Small Ant in the final race. But what should I build for the final track? Well, the answer is obvious. You can't have Mario Kart without Rainbow Road. But there are so many Rainbow Road tracks in the Mario Kart games, so which one should I pick? Well, my favorite is the SNES version, but most people probably think that's the most boring one. The Switch version doesn't even feel like Rainbow Road, and N64 is just a little basic and too short. So, with dwindling options, I decided to pick what I thought was the most dramatic, most climactic Rainbow Road of them all. 3DS Rainbow Road. This track covered more surface area than any of the others, so it took some time to outline everything. Just like with Coconut Mall, I had to keep expanding the track to make sure that it wasn't too short. Once I had the course laid out, I had to tinker with the structure of it quite a bit, as this course is very wavy and not at all flat. Then, I completely removed the earth to suspend the track over the void, and switched to night before beginning to color in the track with the iconic rainbow. Near the start of the course were a couple of small planets, so I decided to color those in properly next, using light blocks to illuminate parts of each planet. I also figured I might as well tackle Saturn as well, making sure to also give the ring its proper colors. The light block illumination makes these planets look way better. The massive moon was a bit of a different story though. I gave the moon a lot of lumps instead of keeping its smooth surface, and added a massive shading effect across the entire thing. Moving back to the main track, Sam and I began work on the finish line arch. We struggled a bit to figure out the proper colors for the arch itself, but eventually settled on a glowing inside with stained glass on the outside, and added in a half star shape on the top. Speaking of stars, this track has a few different segments where there are stars wrapping around the track, so I decided to tackle those next. It took a while to get down the star shape that I was looking for, and I only just now realized that I probably could have just looked up some kind of pixel star design and copied that, but whatever. I finally got something I liked and began to place them around the road. There's another section of the track where you bounce off of a giant floating space mushroom, but this always stuck out as kinda weird to me. Wouldn't it be cooler if this was, say, a shooting star rocketing through space that you have to drive across? I got to work with Sam and Ezio using our star design from before as a baseline. We gave it a massive flaming trail to start, but I also added these smaller spiraling trails around it, which we would color in with stained glass to make a rainbow. After placing the star into the track, I loved the design so much that I wanted to make a bigger version falling over the moon. So Sam and I got to work again. I decided to make this star a little less cartoony, but kept the same style of trail, just on a larger scale. And this one turned out to be even cooler. There was an extra spiral for this one, and the larger trail just made it look way better. There are also some rockets on the moon that I wanted to build, but I forgot to record those, so here's the design. Okay, moving on. For the tunnel at the end of the track, I added a star on each side to mark the entrances, and gave it a spiraling rainbow pattern going all across its length. This thing is certainly an adventure to drive through. And after adding some final additions to the track, Rainbow Road was complete, meaning it's now time to finish off our race against the other YouTubers. What? Cheater!
Okay.
Who has a blue shell already? I'm in second place! Why did it hit me? I was in second place! That's not fair! I was behind Smallhead and the blue shell went for me. Mog Swamp, how dare you?
Bye-bye.
Oh, this is tragic.
What? Get fireballed.
How did you hit that? How did you hit that, bro?
Red shell, oh, take that, Cray.
Ah.
How am I losing to Mog Swamp? This is embarrassing.
Hey,
Get back here, small ant. If I don't beat you, I lose.
Blue shell.
Blue shell, yes. Throw that, throw that.
Grazzy.
No, don't fall off. Don't fall off. No, no, I fell off. No, I threw my lead. No,
Okay.
that's so tragic. Oh no.
All right.
fifth, let's go.
Fourth again.
Oh man.
All right.
Looking at the scores, Small Ant got first overall with 54.
Thank you.
Oh,
Meanwhile, I got second place with 50 points, and Hazuki was close behind with 46. Cray got fourth place just ahead of Jopes, with Mogswamp taking up the back.
Grazzy, do you know what this button here does?
No? Something changed. Is that Chubnox? The download for the Datapack and the racetracks is linked in the description below. Down there, you can also find links to Cray's video, as well as Jopes, who's making his own special little video about this.